HV11 Plus, along with Nathan Scott. I'm Tom Brannon, and we're looking at this multi-day severe weather threat and flash flooding threat. We're on this afternoon to give you an idea of what you can expect for the rest of the day today. A look ahead to tomorrow. Give you the latest on some of the storm reports that we had from a very busy day, not only here in Arkansas, but our neighbors in Tennessee and Kentucky hit hard once again. That area of Arkansas and Tennessee and Kentucky and Mississippi has just been picked on and hammered by Mother Nature.
It's been the same area.
Same area.
Around Jonesboro, up through West Tennessee, the Memphis area, they cannot catch a break. And honestly, here in Arkansas, we really can't catch a break either. I feel like we have moved to Oklahoma City, because this is what they typically deal with. Oklahoma City Mets, you have multi-day severe weather events all the time in Oklahoma City. Here in Arkansas, not so much, but we still have a long ways to go.
We do. At the southern and central plain states, you can keep your severe weather. We're ready for it to go away, go back over to you. We'll say this, something new this afternoon that we're keeping an eye on. Tomorrow, we have been elevated into a moderate risk of severe weather. With those hatched areas which would indicate significant severe, including large hail and possibly tornadoes.
Yes.
So things that were happening last night here have shifted over western and central Arkansas. Let's go over what we have right now. And just a few minutes ago, the National Weather Service placed us in central Arkansas under a severe thunderstorm watch for severe thunderstorms that could produce some large and damaging hail. Southern part of the state, riding along that boundary and just to the south, there's a tornado watch until 10 o'clock. Both watches until 10 o'clock tonight. We are anticipating some supercell thunderstorms later in the day.
The boundary is the dividing line between the elevated convection to the north, where hail is primarily going to be the biggest concern. But then once you get along the front and south of the front, it slices its way through southeast and south Arkansas. You've got the warm, moist air still waiting in the wings across Louisiana, and that's trying to push its way to the north. So with that atmosphere still very unstable in that part of the state, that's why we're watching out for more supercells to develop. And there's still wind energy down in that part of Arkansas and Louisiana, and there's still the potential of strong tornadoes with any supercells that develop in that part of the state. So here in central Arkansas, you see the thunder and lightning just bubbling up. It's been a constant. I mean, it was loud out there last night. That thunder is very loud just because it's elevated convection. We see that layer of warm air, and the sound waves bounce off that layer of warm air, and that's why you get that more booming type effect with the thunder, and that thunder can last quite a long time. But there's the storms really firing up into west central Arkansas. Right now, the only severe thunderstorm warning we have just out on to the Red River Valley, northeast Texas, entering into southeast Oklahoma. That will be pushing its way towards Mena and Polk County. But these could be hailers, and they could be some big hail, even though the temperatures out there right now, Tom, it's in the 50s.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't feel like severe weather.
Right.
But just because we've got enough cold air aloft, these storms can fire up and develop big hail, 1, 2 inch size hail. Could we see more tennis ball size hail, baseball size hail here in central Arkansas? I think the chance is a little bit lower compared to what we could see down to the south.
And down to the south, you've got a stationary boundary. Anytime you got a boundary that's just kind of stuck someplace, you get the little waves of energy traveling along the boundary. You've got the demarcation of the warm and humid air, the cooler air to the north. Yeah, you're going to have thunderstorms. And I don't want to say this could be the quieter day of the next couple of three, but this could be the quieter day. Looking ahead tomorrow, this front is expected to lift all the way to the north. We're back in the warm sector. We have a strong front pushing in tomorrow from the west, and that spells a chance of more supercell thunderstorms producing all modes of severe weather.
Yeah.
So I hesitate to say this is our break day, but it kind of is in a way.
And tomorrow, it's not northeast Arkansas with the best chance
it's here
of storms. It's west central Arkansas with the best chance that we could see potential of tornadoes and maybe strong tornadoes once again, just because of those supercell features that are showing up on future radar.
Yeah. So we're still under the weather impact alert. That's going to last us through Saturday. We still have multi-days of severe weather and heavy rain. We got to talk about flooding in a moment as well. So don't let your guard down. Stay alert. Stay weather aware. This afternoon we have a round, and then again tomorrow we will have a round, and we'll try to break down the timing of that here in just a few minutes. But it's severe thunderstorms and heavy rain and flash flooding that we're going to contend with, and still several inches of rain. Nathan was looking at some of the expected river crest levels, and they're going to go up.
We could see major river flooding if the rain totals verify on what the models are saying. We're going to have some issues. There's going to be major river flooding across parts of Arkansas, and I'll show you those forecasts coming up that are from the River Forecast Center, which is a part of NOAA.
Right. So we've got that coming up. I'm going to quickly run through the risk of severe weather, what we're expecting here for today, and of course an enhanced risk of severe weather in the area that's expecting the severe weather today. Of course, with hail, damaging winds, possible tornadoes, and that includes most of southern Arkansas and central Arkansas. Now that is for today. Here's what we expect to happen. Again, when you see the hatched areas, it's significant severe weather within a point. 2-inch greater hail is a possibility. A strong tornado along and maybe south of that front. And winds, you could see winds of 60 miles per hour and greater, maybe not an 80 mile per hour wind gust like last night's storms. But still, that's significant.
The biggest concern is hail. I mean, we've got hail across most of the state, and it could be significant once again. I think the tornado threat, it's a little too far north for me. You're not going to get a tornado when you got temperatures into the 50s, the dew points are into the 50s.
Right.
But I think they're playing it safe just in case that front jogs a little more to the north than what the forecast models are saying. So I know you're seeing Little Rock here in the hatched area. I would say that's a very, very low chance. I think your tornado threat is going to be for places like Fordyce, Monticello, McGee, Dumas, Camden, Hampton, Warren, down through El Dorado, into Hermitage, Eudora, and Magnolia. Those areas, the southernmost 2 rows of counties, have the higher risk of tornadoes because that's where, I don't know if you have the current temperatures, but that's where we're seeing still temperatures into the 70s right now, and the dew points are pretty high as well. And that's the fuel to the fire for these storms to feed off of. And then also you have to have that surface-based convection. And what we mean by that is instead of the cloud base being way up here, for a tornado to form, that cloud base has to be pretty close to the ground. And that's the situation that could unfold right where you see the 70s.
Yeah, and that's a general idea of where the front is located. 71 Monticello, 72 El Dorado. I know we're socked in with clouds, but you're talking about the temperatures. I don't associate readings in the 50s with tornadoes either. Dew points are low. Things are cool and unstable because we still have thunderstorms, but 53 Harrison, 57 Little Rock. But at what point does this front start to advance northward? And
it will happen tonight. I mean, we'll see that front start to move its way to the north and northwest tonight, and then especially tomorrow, and that's why we're setting up for, once again, another round of severe weather as we get back into that very warm, very much unstable air mass once again.
And that's what we'll do now is I'll show you what tomorrow's forecasts look like. Again, this has changed a bit with now the bullseye shifting to the west, central, west central, parts of north central and southwest Arkansas, including Clinton down to Texarkana, Little Rock. Moderate risk of severe weather, and this is a day ahead. Is there a chance they'll stick a high risk like they did yesterday? I hope not either. Lots of tornadoes yesterday. You know, we were here watching the supercells come to fruition, and they did produce tornadoes yesterday.
And also how it changed so quickly. I mean, it looked like a line of storms. We were focused on that. The models were hinting on, you got to watch out right along the Mississippi River. And soon enough, those cells started to pop up. They had those little kidney bean shapes. And we were telling you, you got to watch out for these cells because they're going into an environment where they can really become intense. And that certainly was the case just outside, for the most part, of the THV viewing area. It was Jonesboro, it was Memphis, but it was really close here to Central Arkansas.
So tomorrow's Friday. It is Friday, right? All these days are starting to run into one another. Friday, schools are going to have to stay aware as well tomorrow with the timing of the storms. I'll give you that here in just a moment, but this is what we have in terms of the outlook. Wind 60 plus, it seems to be on the low end there. Hail, quarter or larger, 2-inch hail in the hatched area, the greater threat over western and central Arkansas, but it's that tornado threat that concerns me.
Yeah, that's once again gets your attention. No doubt about it. When you have red, that's a a 15% chance that there could be a tornado within 25 miles of a point. So you see something like that, you look at future radar, you see those supercells trying to develop on future radar and other model data that we're looking at, we're going to have to watch tomorrow very closely.
Yeah.
There's always a bust factor. There's always a limit that could happen with severe weather. But our confidence in the chance of severe weather tomorrow is continuing to go up. And of course, we will know much more once we get into tomorrow, and we'll see how things are all shaken out. And then you'll know how serious it could be, just watching all the parameters come together or not.
And in just a moment, we'll pull up the high-resolution radar to look ahead tomorrow to give you an idea of the timing of the storms that fire up tomorrow afternoon. But we're not going to be finished on Friday. We'll also have the chance on Saturday. And here's the trick with Saturday. NCAA Final Four basketball, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
That, your lives are always more important than basketball, but you've got a lot of people watching this, so we're going to try to handle it the best we can. We'll be streaming a lot on THV11 plus this platform. You'll be able to catch us on Facebook, YouTube. If we have any tornadoes within our area here, Little Rock area, of course we're going to break in. Your safety is far more important than a basketball game. All right, so this afternoon, as we walk through the timing, this is this afternoon, some storms in western Arkansas. And this evening, that wave moves out of the way, Nathan, maybe a little bit more after midnight tonight. But let's take a look at what could happen tomorrow. You see the front, the boundary lifting north. Yeah. So there might be a few storms that develop along that front, according to the high-resolution data. And then tomorrow afternoon and evening, we'll begin to see, here you go.
That right there.
You go.
Yeah.
Those kidney bean-shaped storms. Her is putting one over the Little Rock area, one over Grant County, a few more here over western Arkansas.
And we just have to highlight, that may not be exactly where it's going to be positioned. So just because you see a supercell over Pulaski County, it could be over Lonoke County, it could be over White County, it could be over Perry County. But just the fact that we're seeing these features show up on future radar, this is telling us that the environment is conducive for supercells. And when you look at the STP parameter, the tornado risk, it is certainly on the higher end. So tornadoes, that's why we're saying it's going to be a day we all need to stay weather aware once again.
Timing tomorrow, according to the latest information here, the afternoon and evening hours, that was around early afternoon. This is projection around 5 o'clock. Again, not perfect in the projection, but a projection. We still have those individual cells ongoing in northwest Arkansas. And then a line begins to develop out ahead of that front.
Yep, so we have to watch two different elements. The supercells developing ahead of the line. There's a low pressure system that's going to be making its way across the river valley into northwest Arkansas and eventually into Missouri. So where that front sets up is going to be where there could be some supercells. In advance of the front, as well as the cold front, will start to push its way back in from the northwest, is going to be another area to watch. And then the severe weather threat, it will start to taper off, but the threat of excessive rainfall really starts to build across the region, because this could be a very slow line of just a deluge of rain that could add up to 3, 4, 5 inches of rain as it slowly pushes its way into central Arkansas.
Notice that these storms were here at 5, and in 7 hours,
they're not moving much at all.
So that certainly is of big concern. And with I saw a rainfall forecast, where now the bullseye of some heavier rain could be to the west instead of the north. Maybe it's both.
Yeah.
But the farther west and north we go, we begin to see rain fill up the Arkansas River. So we'll see the river rise here in central Arkansas down the road.
Yeah. When the Arkansas River flooded back in 2018, I believe, or 2019, I can't remember. But that was due to excessive rainfall into northeast Oklahoma. It was probably 10 to 15 inches of rain, and then all that rain made its way into the tributaries of the Arkansas River, and we saw the Arkansas River rise. As long as this stays out of Oklahoma, the threat of the Arkansas River coming up too much, not much of a concern at this time, but definitely those tributaries that feed into the Arkansas River, the Petit Jean, the Ouachita, the Saline, the White River, all those rivers will be susceptible to potentially significant major flooding issues.
All right, so we go from the severe side to the rainy side. When do we get a break? When does this stuff end? I mean, I think one day is certainly enough. Activity will continue through the morning into the afternoon hours on Saturday. So we'll probably have a little round Saturday afternoon and evening. I think the Storms Prediction Center has Southeast Arkansas highlighted for the worst of the weather that day.
It's a 3 out of 5 for Southeast Arkansas. It may include Little Rock. I'll check on that right now just to see if it does. But that will be the final round.
We hope so.
Yeah, it's right on the border of Little Rock. So
in accordance to that front.
As that front makes its way down from the northwest, until that line moves through, we're still going to have the threat of strong to severe thunderstorms, and there's still the potential of significant hail, and maybe once again probably tornadoes will be an issue for parts of the region, and that's where the dilemma comes into play when the timing of that arrives on Saturday.
I don't remember a time where you had, a week's worth of severe weather. We had Sunday, then Monday, Tuesday a break, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it won't be until Sunday until we get a break. Looking at the extended forecast, we just get through the weekend without any harm. We'll get several days to dry out.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So here are the flood alerts that we have, and we've got your flood watches. You've got your flood warnings in terms of rivers, flash flood warnings to the east. Lots of rivers lighting up. 3, 4, 5 inches of rain out of the storms last night.
Yeah. A lot of places saw quite a bit of rainfall, and with more rainfall expected, these rivers are going to get pretty wild in some cases, and they will spill out of their banks, especially the typical trouble areas. And we'll show you those river forecasts coming up in the next few minutes.
Just a real quick look. I just want to make sure that we're not missing anything on radar here. Storms continue to develop to our west, and some of those storms could contain hail. There's a severe thunderstorm watch, a tornado watch through 10 o'clock over the southern couple of Rosa County. So with that in mind, let's talk rivers and take Storm Track 11, please.
So these are forecasts that are working together with the River Forecast Center, but also the local National Weather Service. And all these colored boxes tell you what the forecast is expected to be. And what you want to pay attention to are the boxes that are purple and red, because the purple boxes indicate major flooding is in the forecast. The red boxes, it's moderate flooding. So we're going to choose right here. This is the Saline River at Benton, and this is the forecast. So this could change, but according to the forecast, it has the Saline River climbing up to 27.5 feet. So that is major flooding of the Saline River at Benton around midnight. The record is 30.5 feet. So those areas, the park around Benton, that will definitely flood. And will it flood over I-30? That's something we'll have to watch, because I know that was an issue a few years ago when the Saline River got out of hand. So it just depends on where these bands of heavy rain set up, and how they just linger across the region is something we'll continue to update you on. Let's take a look at another river here. So we have the Saline River. Let's take a look at the White River at Des Arc. That's also expected to become major flooding with 30.5 feet. And if you're familiar with this area, you know what that means to you. So probably the White River is going to flood some farm fields, hopefully no homes. Then getting into, say, the Petit Jean River around Danville, that is also expected to come up. Currently, it's about 17.63 feet.
It's all the rise.
So it's climbing.
Yeah.
So you can clearly see that river has already been affected by the heavy rainfall that we have seen, and that we will continue to see over the next 24 to 48 hours. And it's expected to climb up to 26.5 feet around midnight on April 6th. But anyone that lives in a flood-prone area, and especially along a river that is known to flood, you want to watch things very closely. And once again, this is the River Forecast Center. You can Google this, just put in River Forecast Center and look up on the map exactly where Arkansas is, and you can follow this along, because they will continue to update you on what the forecast will be every single day. So just to keep you informed on that. Other places that will flood, some places that had maybe never flooded before will be susceptible to flooding, just because we are going to see an abundance of rain in parts of the area that have the capability of seeing, especially the smaller creeks and streams, really get out of hand. This is a different website now. This is by the USGS. And when we just query some of these areas, this tells you how much percentage it is above normal versus when it's supposed to be at its average state. So this is the Fourche-Lefebvre River near Gravely, Arkansas, and we've got 95%. So that's getting closer and closer to being out of its banks for the most part. Anywhere you see the blue color, especially black, that's where you really want to pay attention to things, because that clearly shows we are starting to see the potential of flooding happen. So there's the Saline River, 98%. So once again, low-lying areas, poor drainage areas, there's typical trouble spots under a railroad bridge.
Yeah.
Those always flood.
We've got some of those here in Little Rock.
Oh yeah.
Some of those bridges underneath it.
And people try to drive through that, and you don't know how deep it is, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of it and you're stuck, and somebody's got to pull you out. That's not necessarily a life-threatening situation, but going through a stream, a creek that's moving swiftly, especially, you're taking a chance. You're taking a chance on losing your vehicle. You're taking a chance on losing your life. You don't want to do that, and you especially don't want to do it when it's at night.
Wanted to pull up the rain amounts that we've received from yesterday, and I don't think that Little Rock had more than 400 of it. Something's amiss here.
Yeah, that's. Let me check out something here.
Yeah, but just an overall vantage point, we go from 0 to 2-3 inches of rain. This just gives you an idea. Those storms had a lot of water with them, had a lot of rainfall. In a lot of places over 1 inch to 1.5 inches. This is just the beginning. More rain has fallen today. This is just from yesterday. Today we've picked up more rain. We're going to pick up even more tomorrow through Saturday.
Yeah, something's happened with the observation site, because looking at here, this says heavy rain and nothing was registering. So that's a shame that we did not get a accurate reading there.
Well, that kind of gives you an overview. It's severe weather once again today. And let me back up and go to the watches. Through 10 o'clock tonight. Severe thunderstorm watch, tornado watch, riding along that boundary over southern Arkansas. The boundary is eventually going to lift to the north. We're going to be in the warm sector tomorrow with yet another frontal boundary and low pressure area moving into Arkansas. So tomorrow afternoon and evening, we'll have an elevated chance of seeing severe weather, this time in central and western Arkansas. Give northeast Arkansas a break. Moderate risk of severe weather typically means we're going to see some tornadoes someplace, that and some strong wind gusts. But for today, mainly hailers, except over southern Arkansas, where 1 or 2 tornadoes can happen.
And if you have any hail that you see, let us know about it. 501-376-1111, that's the number that you want to text into us, or you can send your pictures on our Facebook pages as well, especially the THV 11 Facebook page, because when it's so busy and we're trying to cover severe weather, it's hard to check our own individual pages. Just keep that in mind. And stay safe out there. We always love to get your pictures, but safety should be the #1 priority. If you do get a hailstone, try to put something next to it or measure it if you possibly can. If you can put a coin next to it, if you can put a piece of fruit or a golf ball or a ping pong ball, something of that nature, just to give us an idea. So many people send us hail pictures and it's just the hail in their hand, but everybody has different size hands, so it makes it a little difficult sometimes.
This will help you out here, 501-376-1111. One thing, if you report, marbles come in all different shapes and sizes. So we get away from marble size tail, dime size, quarter size, lemon tennis ball. Let's hope we don't have grapefruit size tail. That would be catastrophic. But we appreciate your photos. Nathan and I really appreciate everyone tuning in, streaming with us. We're gonna do this as calmly tomorrow again. We might be on with some severe weather by tomorrow afternoon at this point if things unfold like they could.
There probably will be a tornado watch, I think. At least up to that point.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully we'll be able to visit with you a little more about what's coming up tonight on our newscasts. There's a better chance of newscasts happening today.
There is, yes.
5, 6, 6:30, and 10. And we'll give you the latest weather information, the latest timing of the storms coming up, and everything else in between, from severe weather to flooding.
I guess one thing we need to mention is next week,
frost?
Monday, Tuesday morning, we're looking at the potential. There's going to be a frost. Or freeze.
Next, you're going to tell me it's going to snow.
Well, did you look at the
No.
models?
No, I don't. No, let's not do that.
In northwest of us, there is some information that Oklahoma could see a little bit of snow on the backside of the system.
You went there, didn't you? All right.
I did. Why not? Why? We've had fires, tornadoes. We just need a blizzard to round everything up.
Yeah, and then by the end of the next weekend, we'll be at 90, so we'll have all the seasons covered in a span of 2 weeks. We have to find a little levity. It's been a very serious situation here at Arkansas. So thank you again for trusting us. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow again, 2:30. Unless we have severe weather, then we'll pop on a little bit early. We'll try to notify you through all the social programs, all the social media programs.
It begins with a P.
Yeah.
You got how much sleep last night?
I not much. enough to be here today. Thank you so much again. For Nathan Scott, Tom Brannon, and we'll let you get back to what you're doing today. Thanks for hanging out with us.